Hey everyone, welcome to my Instagram Live. Oh my gosh, I love Instagram so much that I'm so happy to move my program over to Instagram. Hey, yay, Adrian, and people are showing up. Diane Alexander, yay, here we are. We found ourselves. Oh my gosh, you guys. Hello, everybody. Nice to see you. And Christina, look at how easy this is. Yesterday, Christina and I, we both, were sitting there and I was working things out. You guys know how techie I am. So this is a big jump for me to be able to get into Instagram and do my program. So good morning, everybody. Well, for me, good afternoon and good evening. Hi, you guys. Thanks for showing up. I'm wearing my different jewelry today that has a little bit more to do with the theme that I want to talk about today. I always like it to really be kind of a little bit of a surprise. Hi, you guys. Welcome in. I'm so glad you guys made it over here to Instagram. I feel like I've been doing everything on Facebook Live, and I love this platform here. The thing that I love, good morning, yay. The thing I love about Instagram is that I'm going to be able to pop photos right up into this whole program. Oh, thank you, Adrian. Thank you. I've got the light on. Well, I actually got to wear a little longer sleeve. For some reason, for the past week, it's been a little bit like fall weather. Our foliage out here is almost like starting to turn a little brown, which would be crazy. I'm not ready for summer to end yet, but I don't think it will. It's only August. There's Christina. Christina's on with Get to the Art. That's her own company, and she also is my organizational creative director of organization for this company here, so she's always on. The only thing, hi you guys, thanks for showing up. Oh my gosh. So we just can't pop anything, we can't pop live links into Instagram, but I can show you guys photos. So yay, hop on guys. So, oh my gosh, I'm in my studio. Yes, and it's cooler in my studio. Yay. My studio is a mess. It's like you can go for a while. I've been kind of working in my head, and when I walked in today, I was like, wow, this is going to be a transitional time where I need a couple days to get back in, reorganize, and clean it up. So hi, you guys. Okay, this will be on Facebook. So also, I think Christina, the nice thing about Instagram is that we can also hook it up into Facebook too. I do this program every Thursday. I have been in jewelry. I'll start a little bit fresh since I'm in. Hi, nice to see you guys. I'm going to start a little bit fresh since I'm on a new platform here with Instagram. So I have been doing jewelry for 25, 30 years, about 30 years. And, I think a lot of people know I have done all different, Portland, Oregon. Yes. Oh my gosh. Wonderful. I used to live in Eugene, so that's amazing. So wonderful. And that I did my jewelry out there too in Eugene. I really got turned on to all of that, all that art that's out in that area in California. And we have the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame out here. You know what? I'm actually really excited because I'm getting some of our museums opened here, and we have an incredible art museum here. We're supposed to be in a Picasso exhibit coming through, so we'll see. I think with COVID, actually, even in Europe, there's people who are a little bit nervous getting pieces of artwork over here. Isn't that crazy? I know I talk to you guys a lot when I talk about this is jewelry talk, but jewelry talk encompasses everything. It really encompasses everything. And really what this program is about, when I'm going to be talking today about Aztec jewelry, my experiences with it. I have some examples and some talks that I want to do about it. I love bringing in different cultures. Each time I show up, I'm going to bring in a different culture. And for me, it's like I'm not a person that remembers dates and exact times and exact people's names. The way that I study is I love to study from all different angles. Art, folk music. I love studying just instruments people played, and the types of work that people did in a community. All these different types of folk dance. What type of dance? What were their dreams? When I read folk tales about the Aztec, I can put together on how people back in time were thinking. What were their goals? It was so interesting. One of my very favorites in folktales was, of course, a lot of people know the Arabian Nights. Oh my gosh, I love those real authentic stories because you can see the fantasies that people lived into, want to be in these wealthier castles and homes and all of this. Nowadays, we have so much reality TV. We know that because you're wealthy or have a palace to live in, your life isn't necessarily better than anybody else's. That's one of the cool things about now. Hi, you guys. Thanks for joining. Yay. Very nice to have you guys. So, nice, guys. Hello. Good morning. So, I talk about a program holistically. I have been doing jewelry for 30 years, and for me, I'm always studying culture, adornment. I consider myself not a goldsmith. I consider myself a jewelry designer, an artist. That's my background. I love fashion. I love museum exhibits. I love performance art. I love all of this type of jewelry work that really comes together culturally in a whole different way than just, about angles and doing things put together perfectly. So I like using objects in my work. Oops, I've got something coming overhead. So, hey, we've got our flights going again. Our world is waking up. So please excuse the loudness for 1 second here. So today, in talking about, hi you guys, nice to see you. Oh my gosh, I'm so happy that you guys made it over here. Thank you guys so much for showing up. I'm so grateful. I started this program because when I was looking into teaching my intentional metalsmithing course, I started realizing how obsessively, when I was in my 20s, how I studied cultures and jewelry and adornment and, combed museums and combed talisman. And really, way back in time, in studying all of this, all of what I have researched, is at the beginning of jewelry and at the beginning of clothing, adornment, and anything you put on your body and walk around. Usually they were originally from nomadic people, and you had to carry your wealth with you because otherwise, there were no banks, there was no putting money in the walls like they did in the Victorian times. You carried your stuff with you, and plus you wanted to make yourself look like you had it going on anyway, you know what I mean? So, that's really the way, so adornment really was birthed from this place of carrying your wealth. When people got in European coins, they just were like, what am I going to do with these things but carry them in my pocket? They would literally just melt them down and create beautiful pieces out of these European coins. In all countries this was done. I'm realizing, as I put everything back into the original, before the East India Trading Company, which happened in the 1400s, the East Indian Trading Company were people from Europe that got all over China and North Africa and down into South America eventually, and traded through these whole areas and brought beads in and brought just different pieces in. They were looking for spices and stones and all of this type of beautiful things. So this is kind of when, we call our world now homogenized. This is when the world could be homogenized on a slower pace. So it's interesting to see. But so pre-East Indian Trade Company, which is really more like Europe, England, there was a lot more bone that was carved. There was a lot more pieces that came from the area. So it's interesting. One of the subjects that I found so fascinating with the Aztec is that they have a lot of pre-Columbian work, which pre-Columbian predates when they were conquered, when their whole culture was conquered by, the Christian religion and all of that. So it's so interesting. One of the things that I find so exciting about the Aztec is, first of all, that, their love of gold, their love of the silversmiths, and all jewelry, like in every other culture, all the jewelry was really built at the foundation of it was a religious or a spiritual meaning. And really, so way back when I was in my 20s, I was considering myself an atheist. I was searching. I was looking for something. I think it's why I really looked so deeply into jewelry, adornment, artwork, like trying to figure something out, I found at the core of almost every single, almost, if I can't say every, I would say almost every single culture having to do with adornment, at the bottom of it and artwork sat just kind of a devotion to spirituality and a devotion to their religion or a devotion to honoring gods, any of this type. So that really is where all of this started from, you know, and building in that way and collecting. So talisman and amulets, carrying pieces around to protect you, carrying pieces for good luck so you can get food when you're hunting, you know. So it's really interesting. It's where all of these things were built at in their culture. So the Aztec in particular, it's really interesting. I'm going to pop up one of the codexes with, these are actually, some of these are actually these pages that were done. These are some of the pages. Oop, is that one a little blurry? These are some of the, let me get one that's nice and sharp. That one's blurry too. These are some of the pages that were actually done. There's a nice one that were done. I love the artwork in here. Isn't this? It's so beautiful. I just love the way this is done. So the Aztec, thank God, you know, had really put together these codex, they're called, that really documented the way people lived, the way people dressed. I love the drawings. I love, you know, all of this. So, you know, besides some of the jewelry. Now, you guys know, as the Spanish went in and conquered this area, you actually will see that as the Spanish went in and conquered this area, you're going to see, let me see if one of these will still be blurry when I put it back up again. Oh, there we go. When the Spanish went in and conquered these areas, they literally saw gold. I have a piece with me today, which actually, let me pop out of here real quick because I want to show you this piece. I have this piece with me today. This one actually is a piece that's so hammered, so thin. This is actually a brass. I don't have gold. But when gold was used, this is pretty close to the color of 24 karat. The Aztec worked with this gold and they hammered it so thin, which is why this piece brought to light for me. You know, and also some of the jewelry. I do have this piece with me today that I found. These, you know, pre-Spanish, when they were using just different pieces, you know, pre-Spanish, before the Spanish conquered, they were using pieces like shell, clay, wood, obsidian, opal, moonstone, turquoise, but feathers from the Quetzal, oh my God, I know I'm saying this wrong, was the most prized, you know, to wear. So I just had up that costume here. I'll pop that costume back up again too. It was so interesting. You know, so really there was a god that was of, you know, using the feathers and all of that, that was built in that way. So, you know, in thinking about adornment, you always, you're going to find in every single culture, if you can look at what they're growing, what surrounds them, you know, you're going to really, it'll be the birthing of a culture. So the Aztec had very dry weather. You know, they're out in the middle of nowhere. When I was in my 20s, I went with a very good friend of mine, this man that, you know, we would travel a lot together, and we went into Mexico City. And I know a lot of people, you know, have been into Mexico City. It's pretty crazy. Back in the 80s and 90s, I remember I smoked a pack of cigarette a day at the time. And I remember when I was in Mexico City in the 90s, or like early 90s, I was so polluted, my lungs, that I couldn't even smoke. I felt like I was smoking 2 packs a day of cigarettes. That's actually what they told you at the time. It was like 2 packs of cigarettes. So, but to be in Mexico City is, you know, it's built on top of the original capital of the Aztec. So there's so many beautiful Aztec places out there. When I talked about, we went into Mexico City and we went down into Tasco. You know, for me, I remember reading a book on the plane. I was reading all about the Aztec and the Mayan and the Inca, you know, which all line up. They're actually some of the same people, but they divided and had different cultures. And the Inca are all the way down into South America. The Mayan are, you know, like in Guatemala area. And then the Aztec is in Mexico City area, which is pretty cool. Let me see. Okay, there we go. Good. Okay, so, So we actually, when we went into this area, we went down into Tosco. It was a big silver mine. And that silver mine there was a pre-Columbian silver mine, Tosco. You know, and I talked about that story at this one, you know, point early on. I went into Tosco. It was this beautiful architectural from like the 1500s, 1600s, the colonial style that you find whenever the Spanish land, they're going to put in that colonial type of architecture. So they took this pre-Columbian silver place. I can't remember the other place that really mines gold that's pre-Columbian. So they had all these mines there, you know, which is so interesting. So they were really mining the Aztec, which is different from other people. They weren't melting down European coins. They were digging up their own, you know. And if you know about the Mexican government to this day, because they had so many beautiful opal mines, you know, and metal, silver, and gold mines, they actually, when you buy a place in Mexico, you will never own the land, because if there's a gold mine found or a silver found on your property, you're out of there, you know. So in Mexico, you don't own your land, you own your home. So that's kind of interesting. Your whole government and everything is formed that way. Pretty cool, huh? Okay, so this actually, I was going to show you guys a piece too. This is this is in the museum. This is in the Met Museum. A lot of ear plugs are worn, nose plugs, or, you know, in your nose, mouth. Those were probably the most common. The bands on your shoulders were worn in silver and gold. Now, there aren't very many surviving gold pieces. I do have some pretty cool ones here, because guess what the Spanish did? You guys know what the Spanish did. And we don't have to be embarrassed if we are the Spanish people, but the Spanish, as you guys know, went in, saw all this gold, just grabbed it up by the hordes, melted it down, and got those ingots over to Europe as quick as they could. So a lot of the beautiful patterns were lost, but there are enough. And luckily, as we were saying, those codexes, which are those gorgeous drawings that I'm kind of obsessed with, that I've been showing you guys here. So this actually, a lot of the pieces were built around their gods, of course. This represents the sun gods. So one of the strongest gods that the Aztec had, well, one of their, you know, the strongest gods was this war god. I'm not going to attempt to pronounce the name. I remember being on the plane on the way over there, reading about Oaxaca, you know, and I had never been to Oaxaca before, and I was completely pronouncing it wrong. And then my friend mentioned Oaxaca. I didn't even know the pronunciation, and the village or the town or the city was the same thing, you know. It's luck, and the nice thing is it all is in this Indian language. And by the way, you guys, I also have read, which I thought was so interesting, that Mexico is actually one of the very few, if not the only place, where the conquering warring people, like the Spanish, came in and they actually blended themselves in with the Aztec people and the Mexican people, and literally created a whole culture of Mexican people. So if you look at Mexico, it's one of the few places where the conquering people came in, conquered, and just got absorbed into the country, which is so interesting, you know. So that's kind of some good news. I'll pop up some other ones too. This piece reminds me of this light silver. Now, I'm going to show you guys the piece this went on. Wouldn't those be beautiful as earrings? You know, I'm thinking, oh my gosh, I'm always loving these, to have maybe some earrings come down to here. Be inspired. You know, I'm hoping when I come in and talk about different cultures and different ways to build jewelry, this is just really, building jewelry with these pieces. So this would be really beautiful. You just don't want to do a cultural appropriation. You want to look at something like this, be inspired, and find a way to build it yourself that is going to make it your own. You know, that's always what I'm saying to people, make it your own. Now, I want to show you guys, really, this is worn on a headdress. Let me find the headdress. That is pretty friggin' amazing. Here it is. This is one of my very favorites. So you can see it there. Way easier to wear, right? That kind of solves our heavy earring problem. So those are the golds, and you just now, and you'd wear these, and really special occasions. Some people are requesting to see my live video. So interesting. Well, we'll see. Afterwards, after I do this first showing up on Instagram, I bet I'm going to be like, all right, I know how I can do this better next time, So, so these are some of the real pieces that are fascinating to me. A lot of the pieces that are shown are gold, but really there were so many silver pieces done. Who got to wear these pieces? Well, you pretty much had to be upper class even just to wear sandals, and then if you're going in to see the king, you couldn't wear your sandals, you had to be barefoot, So, okay, so thinking back, let's put this all together and think about how hot it is in Mexico, for the Aztec people. It was a really hot climate. So what is their god that they're praying to all the time? The rain god. It's very, very dry, arid. So the rain god is really who they're appeasing. They're agricultural, so they're growing all these plants, which I have some really interesting information about that one in a second. But, they're growing all these plants and they're eating these plants. They're eating maybe small foods like lizards and mice that they find and things like that. So, and their corn, they really need their corn to grow. They need their agriculture to grow. So the rain gods are, they're thinking of the rain gods. Let's get these rain gods into place. Here's another original piece done in Mexico that way. Mostly this piece isn't really this beautiful, but this is a pretty typical plug you can see on the top. Not so clear, but you can see this plug. This is a pretty typical plug that was by more common people, and this is really an elaborate piece of jewelry that was by, kings, really high people who are high up. So because they're, so really a lot of this, so if you think about, I'm going to have to put this back to here too. Oh my God, so beautiful. You get to really see how the feathers were worn and, all of this. So what is the main thing that people are thinking about, in putting together their adornment and putting together their jewelry and wearing them? You're actually thinking about, I'm going to just go back to me for a second. You're thinking about how can you get the rain to fall? How can you get the winds and the, all of this to happen? Well, the way, the way that they figured this out, which is so interesting, is through this sacrificing. They build these big pyramids, if anyone has had the chance to get up here, and to get out into that area with these pyramids. They built these huge pyramids that they did their sacrifices on. It's like I was just talking about the Vikings a couple weeks ago, and it was a lot of this sacrificing that they did. Why? For me, I'm just curious on why would a culture feel like this, why they needed to sacrifice. And they literally, the Aztec people back in the 1300s felt like if they didn't sacrifice to the sun god, their life would be over. The sun's not going to come out. The sun's going to be unhappy and their life will not be able to move on, simple enough, right? So, okay, so there we go. So anyway, in doing this, there were so many smaller, it wasn't like Aztec, they rolled everywhere. There were so many small, tribes and groups and villages, and they were always warring with each other. When you'd capture people, prisoners from another group, you literally would, hold on to them, and they would be sacrificed mostly, so it's interesting. Mostly it's like during February was a big time of sacrificing because February they're trying to get through their winter. Spring is going to be coming soon. So they literally would sacrifice prisoners on top of these pyramids that they had. And the way they did it was with these gorgeous obsidian, beautiful obsidian that they wore in their jewelry too. But the prisoner would lay down, or the child would lay down. Sometimes they felt like a child, their own children needed to lay down too. And they would start by just cutting open the chest and pulling out the heart. That was the part that was for the gods, the heart. There have been some studies, which is pretty fascinating to me, actually, by this professor in Berkeley who was just researching and realizing that there wasn't a lot of meat there. He actually is putting together this formula that that the Aztec really were more cannibalistic. You know, they didn't have large protein meat sources of like goats or animals like that. So really what they're also doing is getting some meat, which makes sense in February, you know, too, because you're kind of out of all of your, all of your substance that you'd eat. So kind of interesting, you know, so in putting all of this together, in thinking about these big feathers and, you know, beautiful bright colored feathers from the birds that they had out there. I mean, there's so many cultures that just kind of didn't have those beautiful, beautiful colors. And you know, so all of these are all about the earplugs. And let me see if there's anything else that I want to put up on here. Oh, I thought this was interesting too. And I actually have a wheat bill. So we were out here. This is actually, I love these photos. These are so cute. But this is basically in the center is the wapil that the women wore, the basic clothing of what you wore. To me, I'm looking at it and I'm like, oh my gosh, we just need some beautiful jewelry on there, right, you guys? So that form, and then this one too, which I thought was kind of interesting. A lot of the guys and women just kind of mixed in. So as far as adornment, you know, keeping things very, very simple, which makes sense. Keeping cool clothing, you know, of the cottons. And, oh, here's another pair that I don't think I had up. These are pretty elaborate, you know, so there were some beautiful, beautiful goldsmiths and silversmiths, bells. It's the same type of boho stuff that I love and that you guys probably love too, where you walk and you make noise, you know? Don't we love that? So it's kind of fun that way. I actually had a wapil that I wanted to bring over. I used to have a beautiful, beautiful collection of the wapils from the Aztec Indian people, or, you know, it's not really called Aztec now because it's, you know, just, I don't think there's anyone that considers themselves Aztec. But, you know, so these pieces were really worn for protection in the same way that we wear pieces for protection, you know? Talisman were built, symbolism was used, you know, the sun goddesses were worn, just plugs of ferociousness, plugs of being a warrior. After a child, a male, has captured his first prisoner, you get your first like lip plug, you know, so it really, you're wearing your pieces. I know these are so beautiful, you know, so you're wearing your pieces because you're proud of yourself, you know. We love wearing our jewelry. I love wearing my talisman for protection and for being proud of yourself. And, you know, really the Aztec were more like their status symbols and all of that type of stuff. So, so really the jewelry from this area is so worth looking into. I've been very tempted for a while, and I'm trying to open up a space of time to, you know, get in, and actually I really want to do some forging, really thin sheets, and just do some shaping that could be so light with sterling silver. I think it'd be amazing, you know, super light. So we'll see. I work with 28 gauge now. It'd be really even fun to get it thinner than that. Be nice. You know what? I want to tell one more little interesting fact that I thought was so fascinating, because it's all these little tidbits that you get along the way that really make a story interesting, isn't it? So this one is that because the Mayans, you know, in agriculture, or the Aztec people, you know, really had this peaceful agriculture, that they were growing things, eating things, you know, besides getting their meat from sacrifices and all this type of stuff. And they knew, we talked about last week on how I brought up the idea last week, and there were so many people on that study this plant life. There's a lot going on with the study of plants right now, which is so interesting. It feels new, it feels fresh. Well, it's so interesting because I ran across a tidbit, and I'm talking about where, you know, there's people who are saying now that through, you know, right before COVID, that all of these unusual weeds sprouted up in the middle of New York City, you know, I've been told. And And really the way Mother Nature is, through this philosophy, is that it will take care of itself and give you the medicines, the plant medicines that you need to take care of yourself, So there's always a balance. There's always the positive and negative, and the Mayans totally believed that. So they used a lot of their plant medicine around them, in the different pieces they had. When the Spanish came in, the Spanish thought that syphilis came from the New World, and it might have, because it all happened about the same time. Who knows? The Aztec people, they had cures for it in their land. When it got over to Europe, syphilis, they weren't growing those type of plants, to take care of it. So that was kind of interesting. That's a philosophy there. But also when the Spanish people got cut or hurt or illnesses or just cuts, what they would do is the Spanish practice, they'd cauterize it with hot oil and pray. That was it. And there wasn't a very high healing rate. There wasn't such a high healing rate. But what the Aztec people did, which I thought was so fascinating, is first of all, they literally would pee on it with urine, because urine has that property that cleans it. And then what they would do is, okay, wait, I have the whole formula written down because it's so interesting. Here it is here. Okay, fresh urine to make it sterile. Then they'd put their herbs on that they grew to stop the bleeding. And then they'd use this agave sap that would promote healing. And actually they found later that it really is an antibiotic, the agave sap. So I think a lot of people know that. So all of a sudden the Spanish started healing very quickly with sores and cuts and, in war and all that type of stuff. Yo, new birds as well. Thank you for saying that. Isn't that interesting? New birds. And, okay, you bring up birds. It's really interesting because I was listening to NPR and they were talking about how these birds that are coming back this year are singing a new song. The new birds, like the young ones coming back, they're still like the ones that have come back for generations and they have a different song, but these new ones coming in have a different song. Isn't that interesting? So interesting. It's like when you really do slow your life down to take in and listen, it's all these little things that are so interesting and they become part of our work. The way you live your life every day, the way you live your life, it definitely will be incorporated into your jewelry, into your work. So I just try to bring a little piece of something new and for all of us to contribute with, our own things, because when we get on these subjects, it's fascinating to listen to, many different songs. See that? Who would have known, so it's all these little tiny things and paying attention to them, that help you understand your world more, that help you understand who you are more, to help you build your own authentic line. That's always what I'm moving toward, is building your own authentic work. What speaks to you? What makes you feel so good? I feel amazing today sitting here in front of you guys. I'm wearing my stuff that I love. I don't think I've worn this one on my talk in a long time, and these remind me really of dream catchers in some way. I don't know why, but they do. I also kind of like the way that this piece, actually I just did it as an extension so it can hit here. I can wear this piece super long, but when I'm showing up on this smaller thing, I like having my pretties so you guys can see them too. Does that make sense? So from farther south, yes. Oh my gosh, so interesting. So, thank you. That's Snarkiest Girl. I love that name. I notice it when I see that one coming up. See, they have an Instagram name that you notice. Isn't that pretty cool? So that's what I'm talking about. Thank you. So, really it's like, how do you, and then this is some of this is some of my, keeping things light. How do you keep earrings light and wear them at the same time, So that's what my objective always is. I've been working a lot on earrings. They're not always Sandy has a pair of the earrings too. They're not always, you have to make them twice. It's kind of fun that the 80s mismatched earrings are back. Yeah, for some reason I think of them as, as dream catchers. And to me, they remind me of that, which, is a lighter. So when I'm walking around, I feel lighter, a little dreamier, like I'm walking around and catching my dreams, I have my dreams and my goals. I have my words that I say in the morning. Yesterday I was talking to my intentional metalsmithing group. A lot of you guys are on there. Thank you. Oh, you're so nice, JD. Thank you. And one of the things that I brought up to the group is that, just continually being nice to yourself, continually thinking of ways to forgive yourself. When you're in your studio, there's definitely times where you're struggling through something and you want to, you get mad at yourself because you can't do it. And my thing, that I'm always saying and reminding myself and my kids and anyone around me is, oh my gosh, be kind to yourself. Think of something nice to say about yourself. When you wake up in the morning, think about a couple power words. My word lately that I'm finding, think about what word, if you're picking a word or two, what word could you or would you put into your work or into your day? And I start in the morning and I say a couple words. And mine lately, maybe for the past 2 months, I've been really thinking about this word freedom. So freedom, it really is, there's definitely times where it's been abundance or it's been love or it's been, just a different word. And so if you think about what is your word right now, you really want to bring your word to the forefront. So you, like a talisman, when you're looking at it or thinking about it, or you have it at paper in your studio, you're bringing your word forward and you're looking at it and you're being reminded of it all the time. My word is freedom. Wearing dream catchers for me feels like freedom. So these are my pieces that are my power pieces now that make me feel good about catching these dreams for freedom, Makes sense? Oh, yours too. You like the freedom. Oh, yeah, I know. Lisa's got the planes. I keep my windows open and I have a lot of birds outside the factory, so it's kind of nice. I have a piece here that I'm building. I'm trying to work with complexity of hinging. This one reminds me a little bit, I wonder if I could even tip this one. Well, this one reminds me a little bit of I don't know why, it's really a lot of filigree, but it's so masculine as well. And I've got the boxes going on this side. Let's see if I can do it. I'm gonna tip this a little bit. I'll show you guys what I have on my bench because sometimes I do talk about filigree on top of filigree, and then I'll have these little box circles on the side. But it's like I really want to try to build layers because it's just good to give yourself that challenge. And I want to build out layers of filigree. Oh my gosh, I'm so obsessed with filigree. It's almost like a cake. So that's really what I wanted to say about the Aztec. This one actually reminds me almost of like a little Aztec warrior. This is a shape that I've been doing lately too. So, in all of this way of making things your own. Aw, I know. Thank you, birds. It's really nice. I do have some nice birds here. So I do have some I've been in my studio really trying to work out some larger ideas here. That was my story about the Aztec. But in thinking about the Aztec, I am working on my Milan, for my Milan body of work. I think this year I could put, do I start at the bottom and work up? This one, I think I do start at the bottom and work up. And this one actually is just one piece of it. My idea here, I want to put a swinging hinge and put something with negative positive wire space here, build up this way. So mine, I have this idea of really building complexity in multiple pieces. So it's really fun to do. I really love these challenges. Always, as far as your own jewelry work, see how the Aztec inspire you, but also give yourself a challenge, Anytime that you are starting to feel a little bit bored in a way. No, my place in a lockdown right now. I think we all just have to wear masks everywhere. I just think what I'm trying to do now, I'm really getting my life back to normal again. And I think it's why I feel this freedom. I want to get my life back to normal, and normal just means wearing a mask anytime I'm out. I always have a mask in my pocket or in my purse, and then I could live my life normal, I feel like. You know what I mean? So my studio is open. When I'm coming to my studio, I wear my mask. In my studio, I don't have to wear my mask. I have fantastic ventilation, which is just amazing. It really is wonderful. Also, another thing about working in Mexico, which is this Aztec influence. I teach a workshop in Puerto Vallarta. I think I have a space open there. It's an outside. You know, people were asking me, are you going to cancel it? And I was like, no. And I realized, oh my gosh, we have the most amazing outside studio space. It's so airy. At that time of year, there's a lot of fresh air coming through. You know, so it's really, yes, creating a different consciousness. Yes, that's what we just have to do, is create a different consciousness. The Asian countries, they're used to wearing masks. That's part of their life. You know, we're Americans and we're like, hey, we don't want our freedom infringed upon, but you know, freedom can come in a different way. Wear a mask. I don't want, oh, there's a bird sitting right here on the windowsill. I'm not in Mexico, I'm in Cleveland, Ohio, but I teach in Puerto Vallarta at this beautiful, beautiful place. Once a year, right after Thanksgiving, I teach for 7 days. We have a pool. We have double añejo tequila that we drink. We have a taco stand down the street. We go to beautiful dinners at these tapas. We go to galleries. We build all night long if we want to. It's a very incredible experience if you're interested in coming. Yeah, there's a lot of people who have come out here. See? So I think there might be a space or two, but I think just one, but check it out. You can see everything. It's from my website. If you guys go in my profile here, you can pop over to my website and see my workshops. The only times I'm teaching for the rest of the year, yeah, it's like being in a, oh my gosh, I know. It's like being in a cave. It's incredible. We have our own chef out there that cooks for us. At lunchtime, we could swim. This year, we're actually going on an opal dig with Kim, one of the students who comes out there. She wanted to organize. So we'll work in the morning, and then we're going to go to an opal mine in the afternoon and do a dig. So that'd be cool. Christina's coming! Yay! So anyway, if anyone is interested in coming, I'm not canceling that one. Mexico, I have went to Mexico when there was, I can't remember what sickness was around. Maybe it was the bird flu, or my kids and I and my husband was there, and we just, they checked our temperature as we went through customs and shined something in our eyes and let us in or kept us out. That was kind of it, you know. Oh, hi. Oh my gosh. Wait a second. Who is saying, is there someone on here who's from China? Tell me. This would be so amazing. Wow. Oh, yay. Good, good. So, and then, so we're not doing Morocco this year. So I opened up a trip to India in January. And that one, I'm going to India whether, if the doors are open at all. You know, the nice thing about this trip is that you can set things up now, and if the trip doesn't go, if we're not allowed to get into India, 100% money back. So we don't have to put all the deposits down. But that's beautiful. You might just want to get on and look at that trip. I get on there when I just think about traveling to see how beautiful it is. And then Morocco again. So, and then there's a couple other places that are coming up. But hi, so good. So you guys, I also wanted to just mention a little bit. I'm actually, with Christina and I, I'm working on this program of opening up a course, or it's actually a membership, and it's about creativity. I'm actually with Christina. You know, Christina is so good for me, because Christina, I just walk around in my own body, and you guys walk around in your own body. We don't necessarily know what we have to offer. It all just feels like me in here. You know what I mean? It all feels like Susan in here. So, you know, it's really nice to have a business coach like Christina. Oh, see? It's nice to have someone like Christina, because she can find things in me. She's like, oh my gosh, this is what people are looking for. This is what people are saying to me, or this is, you know, So anyways, for me, it's like I really realize, I'm coming closer and closer to what I do best. And what I know I do best is I teach creativity. And through intentional metalsmithing, I teach creativity through metalwork. But I want to do this membership course. It won't be very expensive. It'll be coming up in October, and I'm working hard behind the scenes on that one. So it's just, really kind of a fun, lighter with prompts and inspiration and just different things like that. So anyway, just a little heads up so there's the list. Get on my mailing list. We always send out mailing lists. I just got in some beautiful, larger gems from India that are so beautiful. So I'm going to be getting those together and photographing. I have really good prices for my gems because I buy so much. Oh, thank you. So make sure you get on my mailing list if you're looking for gems, or you're looking for trips, or you're looking for my jewelry sale. It's going to be at the end of August. You guys want a piece of me? You want a piece of me? I love that. I'm from the south side of Chicago. So, okay, awesome. So so all of my stuff, I know, see? I thought that'd be really fun. It's going to be a nice community, a smaller community, and of like really working on creativity and all of that. So that's really what I'm looking forward to putting together. Yay! Oh, very good, very good. Now, you guys, I've got a YouTube station, and I've got on there that these guys set up for me, which I'm so grateful for. On there, I have all my talks that I do, about all the different cultures. And there's a few of them that are super cool, some of them that are lighter. I actually am studying long-term for India. I want to do an India presentation, and I actually might even ask my friend Jay, who actually is from India, and her and I, we both love the India, and she's always sending me things. I might have her pop on with me because, oh my gosh, there's so much to the Indian jewelry. It's all this filigree, So that's what I talked about last week, was the filigree. It's all on YouTube. So, Ecuador! Yay! You know what? I didn't realize you're from Ecuador. How amazing is that? It's so exciting. I feel like this year, it's been so international. I love connecting with all of us creatives from all over the world. It's been really fun to see the different styles. Girl, you can, all this type of stuff. So remember, stick with your culture, find a way to make things your own, incorporate ideas that we're talking about, be inspired, and, go into your work and kind of work out ideas. As long as you're working in your own studio, you can't help but to make your work your own. So even if you sat and did like a copy piece, when you get into which is called student work, a copy piece, then, when you're doing your own work, you can't help to make it your own because your own stuff is around you, your own artwork is around you, your own pieces that you love are around you. It can't help to be your own. So don't worry. You're getting, as long as your mind is open and you're being inspired, you're getting to your authentic self. Does that make sense? Yay! Good. Good things are coming from COVID. I'm telling you, it really is true. It's like when something presents itself, I started doing this brain change, this changing your brain, these type of things of changing your brain 3 years ago. I started doing all this work. And, so one of the things that I find in my life now, I don't think, oh my God, I'm stuck at home. COVID is happening. I think, all right, this is the situation we're in right now. I guess it's supposed to be this way. How do I move forward? How can I find happiness? How can I find peace? So it's really interesting. That'll have to be another day. So, okay, you guys, is there any other questions? Check out my website. I've got the Mexico. I always put a general description on there. In Mexico, I like that trip. As I get closer, I do my most recent work in Mexico. The nice thing is that I have that free of learning how to solder. So even if you don't know how to solder, you can get in there, learn all the basics, bring your things out there, and then we can start with having so much more fun. I used to go out and it would be having to teach people. Some people were learning how to solder and some people were goldsmiths. So it's nice. We come in and we can really have fun building and all of that. So, all right, you guys, thank you so much for showing up. I'm going to see if I can save this right. And you guys have an amazing day. And thank you so much. Mwah. Go build your jewelry.